Welcome to B. Taylor Outdoors. I'm Ben. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to run an AKC senior test. So I want to thank Robert Harger. I think that's Robert Harger, yes. So if I mispronounce that, let me know. I'm sorry, but thank you, Robert, for suggesting the video. And so let's start off with what is a senior hunt test. So the senior hunt test, you've got 4 requirements, or that's what the rule book says, but it's really like 5, technically 6 the way I think about it. But the rule book says there's 4 different things they're going to test you on: a double landmark, a double watermark, a land blind, and a water blind. So that's what a normal test is, but what I add in is other parts of the test they're testing on. Is you've got an honor and you also have a walk-up. So normally, from what I've seen, you're normally going to have your walk-up and most likely your honor on the land series. Water series is just going to be your double and then your water blind, or your double marks and your water blind. And then, so that's pretty much what the elements of the test are. The rules for it, according to what I've read on the rule book, it shall not be any more than 100 yards for senior. So your watermarks, landmarks, water blinds, land blinds, they can't be any more than, or shall not be any more than 100 yards. That doesn't mean that there might not be, but that's normally where they're at. So that's pretty much what I can remember off of what the test is going to look like. We will later in the video get into, I'll show you a setup and run Belle on that setup so you can kind of have an idea, and I'll tell you if I thought she would have gone to the next series or not. But so things that you probably need to train for. So 1, if your dog's not force fetched, you have to deliver to hand. You have to deliver to hand. So that was one major thing you needed to have trained for. The other is you need to be able to run good cold blinds, and the blinds are not through the marks. According to the rule book, it reads that they are outside of the marks. I've been to senior tests where the blinds have been like just outside of a holding blind, but the 2 marks were thrown in. So then you ran a blind right off the backside of like a flyer station or something. So I would recommend having trained a dog to run past holding blinds, run past flyer crates, just because you don't know what the judges are going to throw at you. You just never know. So you want to make sure that you're prepared for it, so then when you show up to the test, you're not like, oh, I've never done that before, because I have been there. I've done it. But like I said, cold blinds, I would make sure you're running cold blinds out to at least 150 yards with factors. So like I said, past holding blinds, side hills, any kind of factor you can think of, I would go ahead and be running good cold blinds past those. For your landmarks and watermarks, senior is going to be a little more technical than like a HRC season test. So normally your watermarks are not going to be splashing. They're going to be on land. So you need to be prepared for that. If you're not used to running the HRC where you have a lot of splashing birds, the chances of having a splashing bird in the AKC senior test are slimmer. You might have one, but most of the time you're going to have to get in the water and then get back out, pick up the bird, and come back. It may not be very far, but you still need to be prepared for being able to get up and on land and maybe over a point, a nice square point, something like that. You never know what the judges are going to, like I said, you just never know what the judges are going to throw at you. Like I said, being able to do 100 yard or 150 yard cold blinds, marks, I would do 150 to 200 yards. If you can run multiple marks out to 150 yards, you're probably going to be pretty good for a senior test. The next one is, if you haven't seen flyers, you will see a flyer in a senior hunt test. because the rule book says there shall be a flyer shot in senior and master. So if your dog hasn't seen a crippled bird or a freshly killed bird, then get some flyers. I know they're not cheap, but get some flyers, shoot some flyers over your dog, have them prepared, because that's the biggest thing that you can do. Training is make sure that your dog is prepared. I know you can't be prepared for everything at a test because judges are going to set up something that you've never trained for, but if you train for longer distances, harder factors than what you see in a rule book, then I think you're going to be okay. The next is, let me think, I'm trying to remember what else I want to talk about. Oh, the next one is weather. So I haven't mentioned this, I don't think, in any of my other hunt test training videos, but weather. You need to prepare for potentially cold weather, potentially rain. And when I say cold weather, I'm talking about cold water. Water that's colder than what you normally would train in. So be prepared for that, because you just never know what's going to be there when you show up for the weekend. You sign up for a test, a month ahead of time. You don't know what the weather's going to be like. And then you show up on Friday night, you look at the weather and it's like, uh-oh, it's a 100% chance of rain and it's going to be 50 degrees all day. The conditions are going to be miserable, but if you've driven all the way to the hunt test to go do it, you're probably going to go ahead and run it. So I'd be training in the rain. If I know right now you're not going to have a lot of cold water. So unless you're maybe up north, they may still have some pretty cold water, but y'all probably always have cold water. Trying to think, try to find many different places to train as you can. So if you're training in the same field over and over, try to find different fields to train in. So then when you go out of town to a test, your dog isn't as nervous, I want to say. There's some dogs that they just get nervous when they show up somewhere that they've never trained before because they're just not used to it. So, like I said, you want to make sure the dog's force fetched, seen live flyers, you've trained in some not very good conditions. I would also get if you're in a HRC if you're in a hunting retriever club or AKC hunting club or AKC hunt test club, then go to those training days. Talk to the people that have been out there running years and years and years. They can help you out. That's probably your best resource. And also it may be able to get you out to your local grounds and see what they would set up. Or talk to people and say, hey, I want to run senior. Test is coming up in a couple of months. I want to sign up for. Can you show me a couple of setups that you might see at a senior test? And that's kind of what I'm going to do as well. But it's better to get different opinions than just mine. So if there's anything that I may have missed that somebody's watching and has experienced, comment them down below. If you find this helpful, let me know. So let me go get this test set up for you, and I'll run Belle and kind of show you what it's going to look like. Now, I will mention I'm in a industrial park, so I didn't bring a gun because at a AKC, this is one thing I forgot to mention. At an AKC test, they don't they don't use a real gun. It may be a real gun, but they either pull they'll put a piece of orange tape on the end of the barrel, or it's going to be a piece of plywood shaped in the form of a gun. But you're not going to shoot anything. You're just going to take and put it up to your shoulder like you're shooting a gun. So that is one thing I would also practice on, which, like I said, I'm in an industrial park, so I'm not going to have a gun just because there's cars running up and down the road and I don't want people to call the cops on me for some reason, whatever. And I also forgot to mention steadiness. I should have mentioned this earlier. Dog has to be steady, and you can't talk to your dog if you're the working dog. So if you're the working dog, as soon as you say sit or blow your sit whistle, you get one or the other. You get a sit whistle or you get to say sit. My recommendation is to say sit on your walk up, just because it's a little bit firmer. It's something that they've heard since they were a puppy, And also, if you have an honor dog next to you, if you say with a nice stern, sit, hopefully it may help that honor dog as well. So you're helping your buddy, you're helping your dog. Everybody appreciates it. So, trying to make sure I didn't forget anything else. Like I said, if I forgot something that you think might be helpful to somebody else, comment it down below. But let me get the setup done. I'll show you what it looks like. Then we'll get Belle and run it on her like it's a test. And I will say, I'm not gonna run a collar on her, so it's gonna be almost like running a test, except I don't have a whole bunch of people around. So, okay, this is how you're gonna start out for our land series. So you're gonna be in the holding blind. And I know my holding blinds don't look very good, but they're super cheap. I got a video on it. You can go find it, but they work. So you're gonna take and walk out of the holding blind. You're gonna walk right up to this first ribbon right here. When you make it to the ribbon, first bird is gonna come out from behind that tree. So that's your memory bird, going left to right. Let it hit the ground. You're gonna turn to your right, and then this is gonna be the simulated flyer. I don't have anybody to shoot flyers, but this is my simulated flyer. If I had white ribbon, it'd probably be a little better, but that's gonna be our flyer, going right to left, angled back. So go pick up that bird, come back, pick up your memory bird, and once you pick up your memory bird and you're okay, you'll be asked to run the land blind, which I said is outside of the test. You can see the holding blind right there, and our stick is kind of in between those two power poles. So hopefully you can see those, but it's in between there. It's probably about 75 yards, 80 yards. So once you're done with the blind, you're gonna come out. And this is something I forgot to mention earlier. This spot is gonna be your honor. You can talk to your dog on honor. You cannot talk to your dog on if they're the working dog, once the birds go off. So if you're the honor dog, you're gonna be sitting here and you can quietly talk to your dog and say sit, sit, heel, things like that. And like I said, when the working dog comes up, boom, boom. Once the working dog leaves to go pick up the go bird, and you are steady and at heel, is the honor dog, your honor dog's released. You can put your leash on the dog and walk away and walk out of the test. So that's the test. I'll get Belle out and run it just like I would if I was running at a test. No collar, anything like that. Only difference is there's no judges, there's not a whole lot of people around. Here, 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 kennel. Here, here, here. Sit. Good, sit. So when I get to the holding blind, I like to get her to sit. She's a little amped up right now, but I like to get her to sit. Calm down. Sit. Sit. Guns up. Heel. Heel. Normally right here at this gun stand, there would be a gun, little plywood gun or a fake gun or whatever to pick up, a simulated gun to pick up. So now we're going to do our walk up to the double on land. Heel. Heel. Sit. Dog. Belle. That was one thing I failed to mention. In the AKC, they are going to release you by either the word dog, or they're going to release you by your dog number. Good. And it may be a little bit slower than that. That was probably a little quick. Here. Heel. Easy. Sit. Sit. Easy. Good. Right there. Good. Belle. Atta girl, good. Atta girl, good. Heel. Sit. Sit. All right, we're gonna run the land blind now. Here, heel. So one thing I like to do, especially in an AKC test because you don't have a bucket in front of you, is I like to take a step forward. Here. Heel. Sit. Kind of help them get a little bit better aligned. Here. Sit. Sit. Good. Right there. Good. Buck. Good. Trying to get her to at least cross the line or go straight to that blind pole. And there you go. Good. So right there, she did really good. Picked up both marks and didn't have to handle. Didn't have any kind of major hunt. 2 whistles on the land blind. Sit. 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 So since she did good, we'd go to the honor bucket or honor spot. Heel. Heel. Here. Heel. Sit. No bird. No bird. Sit. So now I would wait until my the next dog and handler showed up to the holding blind. Let them come up, and like I said earlier, they would walk up, do their, throw both marks. As long as she sat and didn't move, then they would say honor dog is released or honor dog excused, and then we would heel, heel, just walk off the line. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said, if there's something I forgot and something you didn't like, comment it down below. And thank you again. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. And also, if there's another hunt test you would like to see, which I've already got the junior, the seasoned. Now this will be senior, so I've got finished and master I can do. If you want to see either one of those, comment down below. Like I said, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. Hit that thumbs up for me. And remember, their season never ends.